I was guided to get house cards and then placement cards, as well as the Sabian symbols for each of the houses. So when I shuffled, this is what came out. Then I have creativity deck and random deck, so those are also cards. These are from the empathic oracle. These are from the art oracles. And these are some Zen cards. So, Mars in Leo has high energy and vitality, quick to act, and will go happily to the head of any pack or group. Mars in Cancer is very protective of their own, strives to create a fortress, and it's not the easiest placement. Mars in Virgo, all about discipline, duty, may be physically gifted, very strategic. So these three things here already, like the energy is action and defense. High-powered action and defense. Enthusiastic. Not negative at all, positive. Protective. And a sense of duty. And being very careful about each step. Shielding can be, several different things. It can be literally shielding your energy with some sort of meditation or visualization. It can also be tuning out outside influences and factors in your environment and really just tuning into your inner guidance. It can be changing the way that you live your day-to-day life so that you remove yourself from situations where your energy gets clouded or you get off track or uncomfortable. And pedestal it's a card to remind us that although we can be tempted to put somebody on a pedestal because we admire them or are very fond of them, like a teacher who is a master at the violin and then a student who's a novice. The student might approach the master violinist and feel trepidation and feel intimidated. But the thing is that even though the student needs the teacher also needs the student. Even though they're at different levels of skill, they still have something integral to bring to the whole process. And so, even though they may not be technically equal as far as proficiency or repertoire, there is still an equality. They are still two beings coming to the same endeavor with the same goal. No matter what you may think of another person, it is really important to remember that you are an equal and just as important part of that interaction. For your art oracles, you have Jean Cocteau. The story only seems one-sided. There's no such thing as a happy ending. Find your future in the past. The story only seems one-sided. Jean Cocteau had a very difficult childhood, and one of the books he wrote was called The Difficulty of Being. The story only seems one-sided. It makes me think of what it's like to be a kid that grows up in a dysfunctional or abusive household. At least in my experience, when you're a kid growing up in a difficult household, because you're developing and you only know of the world just what you are learning within those walls. And that is your full impression. This is what things are like, period. It's basically, what you grow up with, or what we all grow up with, we are imprinted with in some way as far as initial, at least, impressions of what things are supposed to be like. And in that kind of a household, there's a lot of wounding, there's a lot of frankly, there's a lot of bullshit, and a lot of distorted versions of a child that are placed upon them. Because those things can be really a challenge to heal in the first place, and even realize that they need healing, because people are used to what they're used to and don't necessarily know there's something wrong. Like if your ankle is twisted and it always hurts and it's never not hurt, then you figure that's the natural state of things. When you grow up that way, it's hard to see more than one side of that story. And the thing is that that's one of the things that's key, to be able to see both sides of that story and be able to step back and basically objectify it. Remove yourself and remove the outrage that this happened, that this was allowed to happen, and see both sides of the story. And that's part of where you're able to start really moving into the progression of healing, because it helps you when you have that second perspective. It helps you understand that as much as it seems like it was so personal, it was not personal. But you have to be able to see that other side of the story before you can come to that. There's no such thing as a happy ending. I think maybe that's because it's better to have a happily ever after. Marina Abramovic. Skeptic, heal thyself. Discipline is both a noun and verb. When a stranger stares into your soul, do not press charges. Stare back. So Marina's aiming that bow and arrow at herself. And also there's a scorpion up here, which, of course, immediately brings to mind being stung. She would have art exhibits where this reference of when a stranger stares into your soul, do not press charges, stare back, where she sat in a gallery and she would stare into a person's eyes, and people would queue up, and it was just basically that, sitting and staring into another person's eyes, a stranger's eyes. I feel like because of the action and the strategy and the protection element here, the shielding, and also the pedestal card, which is like basically know that you have so much that fortifies you as you're going forward into whatever it is that you're doing. I feel like there's been risks involved. I feel like there's been discomfort for sure. Discipline is both a noun and verb. Things might have felt out of control. Skeptic, heal thyself, right next to the spiral here. And that makes me think of, well, spirituality. I read a really neat definition for spirituality the other day that I can really get behind, because it's pretty brass tacks, bare bones, no bullshit. It said that spirituality was looking at existence and finding meaning in it. Because it's not necessarily about like all the accoutrements, all those, things are nice, but when you act as if everything truly does have meaning, then you move in a more thoughtful, strategic way. So I think that you've been doing a lot of that. Taking more mindful steps, giving a lot of consideration and contemplation to each one before you take it. So for the house cards, we have the second house. I'm going to do these, I guess, one at a time. Second house, the house of concrete values. What is mine? Your energy, finances, earning power, possessions, values, wealth, speech, resources, self-esteem, values and valuables, material security, and attitude towards possessions. So basically your material security and the things that are concrete or steadfast, sort of like home base. 6 degrees of Sag, a game of cricket, socialization of man's competitive impulses, instinctive solidarity, building consciousness, capitalizing on skill, playing by the rules, seeing through the illusions of polite society, sportsmanship and courtesy. 23 Leo, a bareback rider in a circus displays her dangerous skill, the supremacy given to the man who has mastered his senses and emotions, full utilization of inner powers, audacity, defying gravity. 30 degrees Taurus, a peacock parading on the terrace of an old castle, personal magnificence or unconscious splendor, sure retreat for the solitary soul where it can reveal its inmost glory. Beauty in nature. 29 degrees Taurus, 2 cobblers working at a table, a symbol of discursive reason, the battle of pros and cons within the inner being, analytical, recapitulative judgment, partnerships and sharing, repairs to the soul, workbenches, the marriage of minds. 28 degrees Taurus, a mature woman reawakened to romance, new perspective on life, genuine rejuvenation, the compelling charm of mature experience, the rebelliousness of inner hopes, finding renewal of love, second chances, something to be passionate about, awakenings. So we have the building of consciousness, awakening, seeing through illusions, mastering senses and emotions, calling on your inner powers, defying gravity, basically. And then we have sort of a yin and yang thing going on here. Partnerships, marriage of minds, complementary factors. And here, personal magnificence or unconscious splendor. Unconscious splendor makes me feel like you just don't know how good you are. That's what that makes me feel like. That makes me feel like you're walking around feeling like a wallflower, but looking like $1 million. So, sure retreat for the solitary soul, where it can reveal its inmost glory. There's an unfolding here, which is kind of a weird thing to say since it's like inmost glory, and I'm talking about like something, metaphor of things going outward, but in a sense it is, because the more you get in touch with your inner self, the more what you express of your outer self to other people is genuine and authentic and feels comfortable. You're mastering, working with that inner voice, that inner guidance, and balancing, well, it says animalistic instincts, that's a little heavy-handed there, but okay. Animalistic instincts. And also refining how you experience the outside world, how you experience what we call polite society, what you think of polite society. I would say you're going through a transition. I want to also say it's almost like you're hauling ass. I mean, to get to a place where there's more wide open spaces, like tiger out of the cage time, so to speak, but not in a wild way, like the tiger knows exactly where it's going because it's been strategizing for so long. There is a one, I mean, you do, part of you knows and part of you doesn't know how fabulous you are. The part of you that doesn't know sort of goes back and forth on whether to bother trying to embrace that part of you. The part of you that does know really wants to show out. The part of you that knows how fabulous you are wants that to be seen, because it's through being seen that it can fully exist. I think that whatever it is that you're going through, it's taken a fair amount of courage, sort of fighting against the outer energies, the social expectations. So it's a transition. What is yours? You're cleaning out your closet. You're getting rid of the things that don't fit anymore. If this resonates. Okay. Then we have third house. House of learning. How may I best use it? Communication with the higher self. Goodness. Mentality, expression, communication, short trips, siblings, neighbors, courage, mindset and thinking, speaking, writing, learning, interactions with siblings. Okay, we get this about siblings. Communication. Got a whole air, swords, Mercury vibe about using information, obtaining information, working in tandem with the higher self. 26 degrees Aries. A man possessed of more gifts than he can hold. Supreme endowment and inexhaustibility of resources in all possible life realms. Sometimes obsession by potentiality. 25 degrees Aries. A double promise reveals its inner and outer meanings. Fortuitous cooperation between inner and outer elements of being. A sense of responsibility to self or society. Choice between the heart and social obligation. Rewards involved. Four degrees Taurus. The pot of gold at the end of the rainbow. Unlimited resources. Overflowing sense of power. Prodigality, my goodness. Prodigality of spiritual love showered upon seekers of the highest. The promise of riches. Creative integration. Goals and missions, ambitions. The search for treasures. Fantasy, talent, beauty. Illusion versus reality. 3 degrees Taurus. Steps up to a lawn blooming with clover. The invitation extended by all nature to man for self-expression. Inspirational possibilities in all experience. Hopefulness. Gradually enlarging one's vision. Harmony, abundance, luxury, and nourishment. 2 degrees Taurus, an electrical storm. A sensing of the power and wonder of nature's forces, complete transformation of the implication of all being, awe, reverence for the forces of nature, short circuits and electrical failures, loud cracks, flashes of insight, bursts of energy. 2 degrees Aquarius, an unexpected thunderstorm. Liberation from adverse conditions through violent, spectacular developments. Galvanizing to action. Cosmic visitation. Sudden visitations of natural wonder. Breakthrough moments. A break in tension in the atmosphere. Thunder, lightning, electricity. The Tower card being a lightning rod. Whoa. So something intense is going to go down. I mean, I'm just going to put that out there. That's what I feel here. I feel like it's a revolution of sorts, of a personal revolution. You are getting, I think, a sense of what you have within you. And you're seeing how you want your inner and outer elements of being to be recreated. You're starting to see what it would take to have the inner and the outer in such a compatibility that it was smooth sailing and that you were completely aligned with your true nature, where there wasn't some sort of pressure or tug of war that precluded you being able to follow inspiration. The pot of gold at the end of the rainbow. Unlimited resources, overflowing sense of power. Prodigality of spiritual love showered upon seekers of the highest. This is an awakening, and dare I say, it's one that's kind of setting you on fire in a way. Or it's definitely crackling with electricity. You're transforming, and I think maybe there are times when you're a little surprised at who you're turning out to be. I think that this is just incredibly positive, though. Even though this says the Tower card, a lot of times the Tower card can be the best thing that happens to you, because it tears down that which did not work and that which became a prison. I mean, every story that involves a tower, there's always somebody locked up in it, right? Galvanizing to action. Liberation from adverse conditions through violent, spectacular developments. Cosmic visitation. Sudden visitations of natural wonder. You know, but I mean, is this a tower that's going to happen to you, or are you the tower? Are you the violent, spectacular development galvanizing to action? Are you the cosmic visitation? Because that's the flip side. You could be the breakthrough moment. The breakthrough moment might not be something that happens to you. It might be something that you bring to others. Which is not hard to see. A man possessed of more gifts than he can hold. Yeah. Well, and fertility, lushness, being embraced by all nature with inspirational possibilities in all experience. This is going to go well. Whatever this is, your personal revolution is going to be a success. Finally we have, well, not finally because we have other cards, but you know, I'm new at this. 5th house, the house of will. How do I express my uniqueness is the question here. Higher self-expression, pleasure, children, romance, creativity, risks, hobbies, intelligence, recreation, procreation, entertainment, play. Then we have 19 degrees Gemini. A large archaic volume reveals a traditional wisdom, reserve of collective wisdom and knowledge beyond true individual self-expression, deference to past experience, reading, studying, and learning collective knowledge and wisdom from ancient sources, Akashic records, oracles, old books, enormous potential. 9 degrees Cancer. A small naked girl bends over a pond trying to catch a fish. First curiosity of being, innocent reaching out for understanding, curiosity, grasping at restrictions, fascination with the illusory. I think it's more the first curiosity of being, the innocent reaching out for understanding, looking at things with new eyes. "18 degrees Gemini, 2 Chinese men speak Chinese in a Western crowd. Alienness, but also independence from environment. Conscious self-sustainment in spite of all conditions. Individualization. Transcending feelings of alienation, having a completely different mindset. Interpretations." Oops. Self-expression, deference to past experience, reading, studying, collecting knowledge, enormous potential. Fresh eyes and innocence. And conscious self-sustainment in spite of all conditions, in spite of how things feel new and alien, how it feels to be flexing your will, unencumbered, being able to hear exactly what your higher self and your inner self and the child in you, frankly, is craving. What the genius in you, what the artist in you, what the lover in you is craving out of life. Being able to truly live in your own skin. Being able to share what's in your heart, what's in your mind, what's in your soul. And being able to give that gift not only to yourself, but to the world. Because you're clearly possessing of quite a lot of talent. And probably you're just tapping the very tip of what you want to be exploring, I guess. I mean, the curiosity, the fresh eyes. There's a lot of things to check out, a lot of things to sample as far as how do you want to express yourself? What feels right? What feels natural? What feels fun? Because I'm also seeing This is like a revolution for self-expression, for freedom to be who you are. A revolution for potential and expansion. But it's also a revolution for fun. Creativity cards. Passion is one great force that unleashes creativity. Because if you're passionate about something, you're willing to take risks. Yo-yo ma. Oops. A work of art which isn't based on feeling isn't art at all. Paul Cezanne. Creativity is contagious. Pass it on. Albert Einstein. You can't wait for inspiration. You have to go after it with a club. Jack London. Passion. A lust for self-expression. A burning desire. Being able to really engage in things that make time just fly, that take you to another dimension, that feel transcendent because you are so in the flow and so aligned and so able to find endless ways to express that. Feeling free to take the risks, feeling free to just really, I don't know, just do the fuck out of it, you know? I mean, just honestly, there's just, be the freedom to be intense, the freedom to be passionate, the freedom to unleash all the amazing visions and expressions within you without being dampered, without being oppressed, without being redirected, just being able to follow the muse. Okay, these are random cards, as if that's the only random thing that's reading. Haha, no, that's not true, but okay. Influence, pardon me. Nature, fear, and love. Following your true nature is a scary thing, but it's an act of love. It's an act of self-love. It's an act of love for the people you choose to have in your life. An authentic embracing of one's nature that can influence other people and take them away from their own fear. Because fear doesn't really do any good for anything. It just clouds your vision. Fear tries to convince you that it is necessary because if you don't utilize it then, or experience it, then you're somehow not being proactive about whatever it is that you're afraid of. But really, all you're doing is being afraid. There's nothing that comes after that except, health problems from stress and anxiety attacks and confused decisions. But fear comes up a lot when I think there's cognitive dissonance in between how somebody truly feels inside and how they have to portray themselves on the outside, or how they have to portray themselves in one area of life and then a diametrically opposed portrayal in another. That putting off center is something that is like quietly underlying in a lot of fear. And by following your true nature, by letting yourself be the influence on your direction. You're embodying love because somebody who is following their true nature in a positive direction, who's expressing themselves creatively, who has energy, and who has endless gifts to share, and a fair amount of electricity. That brings everybody's vibration up. And that's absolute love. It helps everybody. And finally, these are the Zen cards. Do not dwell in the past. Do not dream of the future. Concentrate the mind on the present moment. Buddha. Ask not what tomorrow may bring, but count as blessing every day that fate allows you. Horus. Nothing is worth more than this day. Johann von Goethe. I think that's how you say it. Is it Goethe? No, if I said it wrong, cue laughter. This is a pretty... There's a theme here. Live in the moment. Live in the moment and enjoy every freaking second of it. Have a good time all the time. Personal revolution. This is beautiful. Well, I hope this was helpful. May everybody have good luck on their own personal revolutions. Love and light. Take care.